A note on lust for life. An excellent, wonderful film. One of the best ever made, of course. We find it on important films lists of the kind, with two of the best actors ever, um, Kirk Douglas and Anthony Quinn. Kirk Douglas is Vincent van Gogh, um, the famous Dutch painter, one of the best. I'm hesitating because he's definitely one of the best, but I'm wondering if he's not the best. For some time, he was definitely my favorite, and I was not alone in placing him on the highest pedestal. I think 2 decades ago, his paintings were the most expensive in the world. They broke the record. Irises were sold for, if I'm not wrong, $109 million, a record for the time. Now I think they've reached the 200 million threshold, and um, some contemporary artists are making huge sums. Some of them Rothko, and others I don't. Damien Hirst with his animals cut in half and placed in formaldehyde or whatever. I don't get. I mean, I do to an extent, but I don't see why I should worship something like that. And it's extraordinary considering Vincent van Gogh sold only one painting in all of his life. And it's not like he didn't paint. He painted a lot, as Gauguin, Anthony Quinn, in the film, remarks when he comes to Arles, to this place in the countryside where Vincent van Gogh hoped there would be a community of painters in the near future. But the film was directed by Vicente Minnelli and George Cukor, who came in at one point. We understand, and it begins with the pain, the suffering of this extraordinary man, haunted, troubled, and from one stage on, insane. Um, he was supposed to become a priest, but he was clearly not made for that. Uh, Not in that he didn't have a calling. He was truthful, he was open, he was keen on helping the poor, sacrificing, using himself. He tells them, "Use me. I want you to use me. Let me go to the destitute, to the disaffected. He sent to the mines at one point." But then the church had other values, not the values they were preaching, but his case made plain. They were actually not for the poor, but they had other more earthly interests in mind. So he comes into a conflict which is irreparable, and then he has to abandon the church, or the church abandons him, however we look at it, and he becomes a painter. He suffers in love. He loves a woman. It's hard to say how much we have artistic license here, and some things, some aspects exaggerated, like this romantic tragedy of Van Gogh, and how much is based on real fact. There are, of course, many letters, with Theo especially. Theo, his brother, was the one who supported Vincent van Gogh throughout his life because, as I said, he sold only one painting, so there wasn't any income he could depend on. He had to rely on his brother, a wonderful man, Theo. There are very important moments when he meets the Impressionists, the Pointillists. The Pointillism was a current within the Impressionists, and by the way, Impressionists, Pointillists, and Van Gogh are my favorites. Gauguin is already outre, moves on to and announces the abstract movement. There's some of his paintings which are, I mean, most of his paintings are glorious, and there are experts who know about that. Here I'm just talking in terms of personal favorites and taste. So I like a number of Gauguin's paintings, but a number are not really my cup of tea. So Gauguin dismisses Seurat, for instance. Seurat. Seurat explains the mathematical way of creating color. Vincent van Gogh talks to him, and he's surprised. How can you paint the outside? It's one of the famous paintings of bathing in a spot, and bathers and the water, and it's a superb painting, of course. But he's working on it. Seurat is working on it inside, indoors. How can you paint the outdoors, nature here? Well, it's mathematical. He explains. I'm not mixing the colors here. The colors will be mixed in the eye of the viewer. It's mathematical, and he explains. You see, we have the whole spectrum. We have red here, violet, blue, or it's blue, violet, red, orange, yellow, primary colors and secondary. And we have, of course, the suffering of Vincent van Gogh, the tragedy, the cutting off of the ear, the conflict with Paul Gauguin. They get along so well for some time, but then they fight so dramatically. Wonderful, wonderful film.